Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome to another Yugioh VRains review. This time we will be reviewing Episode 4, the first meaningful duel, I guess you can say, in Yugioh VRains. It is the duel between Yusaku and Go Onizuka. And generally speaking, what did I think of the episode? I thought it was a good episode. There were some things the episode did that I liked. There were some things the episode did that I wasn't... Well, it's not that the episode did anything that I wasn't really a fan of. I just thought this duel was kind of slow-paced, but it made up for it because we got some really good background on Go's character. And usually, for me personally, I don't enjoy duels as much in the first half as I do in the second half. That's just kind of me personally. I think in the next episode, episode 5, we know this duel is going to continue. I think that's when the episode, or the duel itself, is going to really pick up. We're going to see some really good counters, maybe some cool summons. We did see a cool summon by Go at the end of this. He link summoned the second link summon we have seen, so that was kind of cool to see. Overall, good episode, another enjoyable one to what's been a very good start for Yugioh VRains in my opinion, and I hope you guys will leave your thoughts on the episode down below. So it begins, something that I thought the episode did extremely well. Going into this duel, I think a lot of us, including myself, were not really connecting with Go. We thought he was being a little bit selfish, and maybe you still think that. I don't really think it as much. I mean, I still kind of think that his reasonings are maybe a little bit dumb, but this episode does a really good job at humanizing his character, and what I mean by that is we immediately see him with all of these gifts, all of these presents, and this is literally his only motivation at this point, just to make these kids smile. And when you think about it, that's a very golden-hearted motivation. He's a genuine guy, Go Onizuka, and so he's going to deliver the gifts to the kids, and they're all obsessing about Playmaker. And the more you see these kids, the more you actually feel kind of I don't know, I felt bad for Go, I really felt bad for Go, and I thought this episode did a great job again at humanizing him, at really making you kind of root for him, and I was rooting for Go to go back up and get back into it in the middle of this duel when Yusaku was kind of owning him and nailed him with 2,000 points of damage, and everyone's cheering for Yusaku, and I'm just sitting there watching, and I'm like, you know what, I hope Go pulls off a really cool summon. I hope Go kind of comes back in this duel a little bit. Maybe not wins, but just puts on a really good performance to get the crowd and the kids, these kids that we learn, he donated to this orphanage. He grew up in this orphanage. This orphanage and these kids are almost all he has. This is literally his only motivation. When you look at it like that, it's tough to root against him. All he's trying to do is bring smiles to kids, and I know when you hear that, you think of Yugioh, bring smiles, bring egg out at people, but Go's style was really cool, really well done. So Go, immediately upon seeing all the kids rooting for Playmaker, he goes to Akira. He's practicing his dueling. He gets blown away by a data storm, which maybe is going to hint at him having to go into a data storm to grab a really good card in the future, maybe in this duel. Probably not in this duel, but that'll be interesting to see. He was unable to deal with the data storm, which is kind of cool that virtual reality lets you, this is kind of a virtual reality game inside a show about virtual reality. A bit of Inception there, but it's kind of cool that it lets you simulate what it's like to be in a data storm, and Go Onizuka obviously can't handle it, at least at the first going. He goes to Akira, and Akira's very excited to see him, and goes like, all I want you to do is set up an arena where me and Yusaku can duel. That's it. Where me and Playmaker can duel. Obviously, they don't know it's Yusaku. That's all I want you to do. And Akira's like, we can do that. And this turns into a Hell in a Cell match. And by the way, as someone who was a massive WWE fan a few years ago, I went to a few pay-per-views in like 2012, 2013. I absolutely love the entertainment style that Go Onizuka has. It just really hits home. And there's something that the crowd says, like when, I don't know if Yugioh VRains and Yugioh in general has done this purposely, almost kind of breaking the fourth wall, where they've been able to nail these realistic cliches so well, because when I'm watching in 2012 and 2013, I'm sure nowadays everyone always talks about how WWE was pretty, all the fans that don't watch it anymore is horrible now, and it was so much better in the 90s and the early 2000s when you had like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Kane, Undertaker, and I mean, it's hard to argue because the cast of wrestlers back then were incredible, even though I still enjoyed it. I'm sure I could watch Monday Night Raw this week and I'd still probably be able to get back into it, but all the fans are like, oh, it's so outdated, and I wonder if they are really like kind of poking fun at the actual WWE fan base, because not really the current one, but the more so ones that maybe aren't really fans anymore, and I guess the current ones to a degree. I haven't really been in the fan base for a while, but I used to be a massive fan of WWE. And it's just, that really hit home for me because it's like, wow, I don't know if they were doing it on purpose, but there's so many fans now that say, oh, wrestling is so boring. It used to be so much better, 15 years ago. And they said that it's kind of an outdated style in this episode. So if they were going for it, they absolutely nailed that kind of, I guess, cliche you can say among the wrestling fans. That was magnificently done. And so Yusaku goes to his house when he hears, obviously, the Knights of Hanoi are there. He enters, we thought, we didn't think so. I thought that maybe he lived in that hot dog truck, probably not. But this kind of confirms that his parents are not in the picture. He is living in looks like a horrible place to live. It's a single room apartment. It looks like the walls are eroding. The entire apartment building looks like it should be condemned for, asbestos. It looks like a horrible place to live. And Yusaku does not have parents. That's the conclusion I'm drawing from this. That's as conclusive as you're going to get without them outright stating that Yusaku doesn't have parents. We know Aoi and Akira don't have parents. We know Go grew up in an orphanage. It's interesting because I pair those four together, obviously. Aoi, Go, Revolver, and Yusaku. I don't know, that'll be an interesting thing to see because there's so many similarities between those four characters. And that could have been another one, but Revolver kind of breaks that trend. So it'll be interesting to just see what happened to their parents and why maybe Revolver's is alive, because again, I do think that 4 of these 6 are going to form a group together. So that'll just be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But Yusaku goes into the VRains. He's a smart guy. He immediately is like, all right, there's something up with this knight. It's clearly not a knight. Before he leaves, the steel cage comes down and Go reveals his true self. The duel begins because Yusaku can't log out unless he's out of the area, and this is obviously Soltek's doing. Immediately, Kusanagi, who's back in the hot dog truck, knows it's Soltek's doing, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna break the system. And he basically says, like, I know how to get a loophole around this, but it's gonna take a while. I would really dislike if this duel ends next episode in a no decision, because the second Kusanagi hacks into the program, Yusaku logs out without the duel concluding. I think that would be really, really dumb. That's the only route I'm worried they're gonna go, that I really hope they don't go. Maybe Kusanagi hacks into the system, gives Yusaku that option, but Yusaku is like, you know what, I'm actually having a fun time. I'm gonna stay here and finish this duel out. I think that would be good for Yusaku's character. That would be good for maybe developing a bond between Yusaku and Go, which I'm expecting will happen in the near future. So I could see that playing out. The duel starts, and we only see, I think, 1.5 turns. Yusaku takes 1 turn, Go takes a couple turns, and nothing really much happens here in this duel. I mean, it's just your basic summoning, your basic action. There wasn't a lot of back and forth. Yusaku gets the upper hand. He deals 2,000 damage to Go Onizuka, and we get an interesting scene. One of the best well-done scenes, I think, when Go's manager goes into the orphanage and the teacher is watching behind with the kids, and the kids are young, they're going to root for whoever's doing good, and they're rooting for Playmaker, and they are even referring to Go as, like, Big Brother Go, which is kind of symbolizing how much they do still idolize Go. And they're kids, and you do understand, that they're not, they don't know any better. I mean, they're just rooting for whoever does good. But for Go, it means that much to him that these kids are happy. And in one hand, they're happy, which their happiness should be that all Go cares about. And if they're happy rooting for Playmaker, so be it. They kind of root for Go after he does the Link summoning, and I'm kind of hoping that after this duel, Go makes a comment like, you know what, the kids, if they really want to, they can root for 2 idols, or they can idolize 2 people, as long as they're happy. If he makes a comment like that, that will be really, really good development for Go in the early stages of VRains, so I'm kind of hoping he does make a statement like that. The teacher starts to feel really bad. She even says, I'm sorry, to Go's manager, and Go's manager's just like, kids are honest, they're supporting, the cool guy who's gonna fight to save the world, something along those lines. And the AI, Ignis had a really cool role because he pulls up that Go is undefeated. Go never has lost a duel. He's the #1 duelist in the world, or in Link VRains, and he's doing this because he volunteers at an orphanage, he donates to it, he lived in the orphanage when he's a kid, he uses his entertainment dueling to earn money, he's basically doing it for the kid's future, and as, Ignis is talking about this, Yusaku almost kind of has like a change of heart because he's like, I'm not interested in Go, but you can kind of see he kind of has an emotionless face, honestly, but you can maybe kind of understand that he's viewing this situation a little differently, that he's viewing Go Onizuka a little differently, which is really cool. And Go is faking it, as Yusaku knew and as the AI knew that he's, really in trouble here. The announcer dude and all the kids are counting to 3, and right at the 3 count, Go stands up. Like, it's literally like a wrestling match. I absolutely loved it. And this is the line that shows that Yusaku really is having a change of heart, that he says something along the lines of, a person's heart is sometimes shaken by irrational things, and Ignis is like, oh, what do you mean? The playmaker's like, I'm not gonna waste my time explaining it. And Go eventually has a really good turn. The kids are all rooting for him. He summons his ace, Great Ogre, which is a Link summon, and I'm so used to Arc 5 where whenever we saw a pendulum summon that wasn't from Yuya, everyone would be like stunned. Like when Leo Akaba pendulum summoned, everyone was stunned. But I gotta rewind my clock back to 5Ds and Zexal, where, Synchro summoning and XZ summoning was just normal, because Link summoning is clearly normal, and no one really has like a stunned reaction when Go goes up and Link summons. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, this is awesome. Go gets his attack up to 4,900 and then 5,700. So Go's Great Ogre has 5,700 attack, and he says, this is my finishing hold, or this is my, finisher, or whatever. Finisher is obviously just a wrestling term for usually when a wrestler hits their finisher, it's over. And so that's how the episode ends. The preview is just going to be Yusaku and Go going at it. I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was really good for Go's character. And if they do this for Aoi's character, and if they do this for all the characters in the early going, build them up, and while they duel, give really good backstory, and make us really care about these characters, we are going to be in for, again, a real treat with Vrains, that after episode 10, we're going to really care about Go as a character. We're going to care, obviously, about Yusaku. That development is definitely going to come. He's the main character. Hopefully about Revolver, and hopefully about Aoi. Those are the first 4 that I'm really focusing on, that I really do want to care about as a fan. And this episode really made me relate to Go, and really made me able to root for Go. I was rooting for Go. And maybe I'm not rooting for Go to win. Now, who's going to win this duel? Who do you guys think? I ran a poll on Twitter, and I'm always going to run a poll on Twitter before the duel begins for every duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, and we're going to see at the end of the show how often the community was correct. 92%, including myself, in 139 votes, picked Yusaku to win this duel. I do believe Yusaku is going to win. Now, if Go wins, I could see him saying, you know what? It was a good fight. You keep the AI. That's what Soltec wanted me to do. I don't care about sponsorships or something like that. And Akira gets real pissed at Go. Yusaku keeps Ignis, Go keeps his undefeated streak. I could see it playing out like that, so we'll see who wins. I still think Yusaku will win, but let me know all your thoughts on this episode down below. Let me know if you thought the duel was a little slow, if you didn't mind it because of the development we got. That's kind of where I am in this boat, and if you think that episode 5 we should get a lot of really good dueling action. We know Yusaku is going to use Decode Talker. Will he use an upgraded form of Decode Talker? That's another interesting debate that we can have in the comment section. So thank you to everyone who watched. I will talk to you down below. I hope you enjoyed episode 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. We should be getting the episode 6 summary sometime this weekend or Monday at the latest. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you as always for watching.